start recording.
How are you today? I can't eat like that tomorrow.
Excellent. So as you're coming in, we'd love it if you'd go ahead and mute yourself. That'd be terrific. Excellent. All right. So welcome. My name is Kate Anderson. I'm Director of K-12 Education for Beyond Benign, and I am thrilled to be welcoming you all to Pathways for Sustainable Invention virtual speaker series tonight. This is how Black inventors are paving the way in modern science for a sustainable future. And tonight we've got a fantastic lineup. This is the fourth in our fifth speaker series. And we're thrilled that you're here with us tonight. We will have one more on May 10th. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide here. The speaker series is sponsored by Lemelson Foundation, and this is a collaboration between Beyond Benign, Society for Science, and NOBCCchE. And we have got a terrific lineup for you tonight to hear some really fabulous inventors and learn about where they're at in their pathway, what it is they're doing with regards to cosmetic chemistry and cosmetic industry. We strongly urge you to participate tonight because it's really all about asking questions of these amazing women who are going to share their experiences with you tonight. And so we'd love for you to be able to go ahead and put it in the chat. And if you're enjoying what you're watching tonight, then please follow us out on social media. You can see all of our hashtags in the chat as well. I'm pretty sure that's all that I want to say for now. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our MC and our moderator for tonight, Dr. Rhonda Moore. And we are pleased that she's going to help sort of navigate and moderate for us tonight and introduce our fantastic panelists and moderate the Q&A. So I'm going to turn it over. Radhika.
Thanks so much, Kate. I am so excited to moderate on tonight. I'm excited on who's on the line. I'm also excited with the women that are going to speak with us tonight during our series, How Black inventors are changing the cosmetic industry. And truly, we know that they are. And so we got a great lineup tonight. So what's going to happen is for the speakers, I'm going to read all of the panels bios. And then once I read their bios, they're all going to come in that order. And once they come in that order, then we will do the Q&A. At that point, and then we'll be able to wrap up. Just an hour long, so stay with us. Stay tuned, stay with us. It's going to be over in a minute. Okay, so first we have for our speaker, LaTonya Burns, Alan Nicole Cosmetics. She is 28 years old, born in California, then raised in Madisonville, Kentucky. She is the owner and founder of Alan Nicole Cosmetics, based out of Louisville, Kentucky. LaTonya also serving as a drug tester coordinator at the Army National Guards within the Commonwealth of Kentucky for around 7 years. In 2020, LaTonya began taking the necessary steps to embark on her entrepreneurial journey. As a first-generation entrepreneur, she took a leap of faith and turned her dream into reality. She specialized in digital and network marketing, plus more recently, cosmetics. She enjoys the process of innovation while positively impacting others in her community. Since beginning her entrepreneurial journey, has been featured in Business Insider at local vendor appearances and has established a social media presence that has created a sense of sustainability. LaTonya is currently a single mother who doesn't believe in barriers as her driving force is a root of her faith. She doesn't believe in barriers as a driving force for her root of faith, her purpose, and her self of motivation. Our second speaker is none other than Rhonda Davis. And I'm probably going to get the name of this company wrong, but it's okay. Alquemie Product Development, Development Group. Rhonda Davis is the Chief Product Officer and Cosmetic Chemist, creating innovation in skincare, color, cosmetics, hair care, and fragrance. She is also has a bachelor in chemistry as well as a master's in science and pharmaceutics, specializing in cosmetic science. Also, she loves beauty and arts. Ms. Davis was able to emerge her chemistry and cosmetics science background to forge a career path over the last decade with companies such as Cramtree and Evelyn Coat, and also philosophy and other specialized in research, products and packaging development, consumer trends, competitor analyst, also cost and waste production, just to name a few. Ms. Davis, along with her products and expertise, have been featured in Vogue, Hollywood Reporter, InStyle, MTV, just to name a few. Now, our last speaker, and of course, I have to do it. I have to do it. The T, the U, the S-K-E, the G-E-E, Tuskegee. I have to do it. So for LaTisha, Dr. LaTisha SaleemZayid. I hope I said that correctly. And she'll correct me when she gets on the line. But she has a BS in chemical engineering from Tuskegee University, and she received her master's and doctorate degree in biomedical engineering from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. She focused on characterization and application of drug delivery biopolymers. Upon joining P&G, she also earned an MBA at the University of Cincinnati. She leads technology, products, and process development and intervention, resulting in 5 new products. If you could also mute, if you don't mind, those of you who are coming on the line, thank you so much. And resulting in 5 new product launches, 13 patents grants. She is also an adjunct professor and has served on University External Advisory Board. She is currently responsible for the Skin and Health Sustainability Upstream Innovation. Additionally, LaTisha leads global special interest teams. She has a leadership in several global internal scientific communities and practices. She also is a champion for STEAM exposure. She volunteers with professional organizations like NOBCChE, NSBE, ACS, just to name a few, doing their science bowls and science fairs. She has a extreme passion for early and continuous STEAM exposure and a development leading to STEAM exposure and development leading to finding Practical Science Academy, a nonprofit that receives tangible and practical STEAM activities for underdeserved communities. These are our speakers on tonight, and ladies, feel free to go forward in that order. LaTonya?
Hi, yes, I'm so happy to be here with you all. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself outside of what has already been told. So basically, I started out on Nicole Cosmetics in 2020 at the age of 24. And basically, it was just an idea that I had thought about for a couple of years. And after having my son, I kind of went through a little bit of postpartum depression, and I was just kind of finding my identity and the things that I wanted to get back to. And makeup was one of the things that I absolutely loved. I was a former student at a cosmetology school here in Kentucky. And I wanted to find a way to turn my passion into profit. along with making sure that I continue to walk in my purpose, which was to impact others and basically to encourage people to indulge in self-care. So through that journey of my postpartum depression, I found that having some kind of ritual or some kind of regimen that was of the positive side, basically, as far as affirmations and speaking life into myself, I found that it made me more confident. So I was like, I want to come up with a brand where I could get this out to other people as well who may be struggling with postpartum depression or anxiety, and they need kind of a pick-me-up. We all know how makeup makes us feel every time we put it on. So I kind of wanted to invent something and where the two kind of align with each other. So that's what I did. So my motto for my brand is changing lives one shade at a time. So this is a little overview about us, and I'm not going to read it to you because I'm sure this you guys can read. But yeah, so again, it's just an affirmation base. We have both vegan and non-vegan products, and anywhere between lip gloss, lipstick, eyelashes, and within the next couple of years, I do plan to introduce foundation and just overall expand my brand so that I can ensure that other people have access to it as well. And then this is our vision. Basically, it is to, again, get the message out there and to encourage other people to speak life into themselves, as well as doing, taking a leap of faith and doing something that they love, regardless of where you're at in your life. Again, I'm the first generation entrepreneur in my family, so this is definitely something that was out of my comfort zone. But again, I just prayed about it and I was like, you know what? I am going to do this, and here we are. So this is an overview of some of the products. All of them are specifically just the way I wanted them. Rose gold is my favorite color. It's something that I've always been attracted to, as well as a matte finish. And then, of course, at the bottom of each of my shades, I have an affirmation. So in the first picture here, that is shade I Am Brave. So the idea is that every time you use the lip gloss, it's a reminder to speak life into yourself. So the middle here is our 3D lashes here. And then the slide at the end is the red matte lipstick, which is actually what we launched this year. So that shade is called I Am Bold. So yeah, so that pretty much sums my brand up. If you all have any questions, feel free to ask me. And again, I am so excited to be here with you all.
Rhonda Davis.
Hi, everyone. Thank you again for having me. Just as LaTonya said, I'm so excited to be here and answer as many questions as possible. My name is Rhonda Davis, and I'm the Chief Product Officer at Alquemie Product Development Group. I'm also a cosmetic chemist. I majored in chemistry in college, and when I finished college, I was a chemist for the Department of Justice. And nothing against the United States government or federal government. I just did not see a career path for me at that time. And I knew that I loved art, science, and beauty. And so I was informally introduced to a color chemist who actually created the colors and shades at MAC Cosmetics at the time. And immediately I knew that I thought that would be the career path for me. And so I applied to different cosmetic chemistry programs, and I eventually settled upon Long Island University in Brooklyn, New York, and set out on my cosmetic chemistry career. And since then, I've worked for a number of companies and brands. I got my start at Crabtree and Evelyn, and I later went on to Coty, Philosophy, Givaudan Fragrances, and so many others. I also worked in the private label sector as well, manufacturing. And now I'm the Chief Product Officer for Alquemie Group, where I help create the different products for not only Alquemie brands, but also our clientele portfolios. Also, based from the slide, I am originally from the South, the American South, the Gulf Coast area. And one part of my upbringing, as we discussed earlier, if you've ever been to the South, or if you've ever been to the New Orleans area, it's really hot and it's really humid. And so I always keep that in the back of my mind whenever we're creating products and the formulation aspect of it, as far as heat and humidity. And so for skincare, deodorants, hair care, I always try to incorporate those types of pain points that a lot of consumers deal with on a daily basis. So a part of the Chief Product Officer, or this is the product development process, is there are so many moving pieces, from packaging design, product and packaging compatibility, working with ingredient manufacturers and suppliers, packaging suppliers, developing and creating the actual packaging, working with creatives like graphic designers and CAD or CAD designers. It's so much that goes into it. And the main part that we really focus on is not only making sure that products are safe for consumers, but also that it's sustainable and it doesn't have a negative impact on the environment, and that they are also ethically sourced.
Dr.
All right.
LaTisha.
All right, so I'm LaTisha SaleemZayid, and as mentioned, I currently work at Proctor Gamble. My title is a principal scientist engineer, but what that really means is I'm a technology director. So essentially I kind of set the vision and direct where technology goes. Currently have responsibility again for skin and health, as well as sustainability. And I'll explain a little bit more what those couple of things mean. Also founded and am the executive director of Practical Science Academy, which again is a nonprofit with the aim to expose underserved communities, as well as women, minorities, to science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So I want to start a little bit about me, because it really comes down to like who you are and why you do the things that you do. As we were preparing to do this panel, I had talked to Kate and just kind of shared with her my background. And I come from, humble farm beginnings. And in that, a lot of the way that we operated, kind of like a village community approach to things, embedded in that were sustainability principles that I never knew were sustainability principles. So as we would do work on the farm, so to speak, a lot of what we did was based in ensuring that we were good to the land and the land would be good to us, as well as, making sure that we were getting usage out of all the things that we invested in. So if we bought fertilizer, we wanted to get the absolute most out of that fertilizer in that crop. If it was corn or okra or watermelons, we wanted to make sure that we were very much kind of utilizing resources in a way that really was sustainable. We didn't call it sustainability, but it was all about getting the most out of what you are doing and being mindful of how it can impact the world and specifically the land that we were using. I found that it was kind of embedded all the way through the generations, and this may make you laugh. I think all of us had the grandmother who repurposed like the country crock containers. Believe it or not, that's sustainability, because you're again kind of keeping in mind preservation, utilizing things so that they have multiple uses and end of life doesn't show up in the garbage every single use of a particular thing. And we were entrepreneurial. So my parents, yes, we grew up on a farm. They also had a few different businesses, one of which was logging. So kind of in that, it had to be pre-planned and some understanding of how we were going to sustain the land once those trees were cut down. And then a few other businesses, building homes and such. We mentioned that I went to Tuskegee. That's always a highlight. And I think a lot of those principles, as I went from elementary school and just things in the way that we operated in my family, also got reinforced as I went to university. So going to Tuskegee, quite a bit of what I learned in chemical engineering was almost automatically embedded in sustainability. We learned how to, maximize processes, how to create, recirculation so that we could create recycle in the process, designing a process to be, the optimal and most efficient. Again, sustainability principles that I had no clue. And then as I started to move on into my career, worked for a couple of other companies, worked for 3M as well as Zimmer. And those principles kind of stayed with me as I started to matriculate. Went on to get my biomedical engineering degree. And as a part of that was, again, didn't know the rules of sustainability, but as I did my work, I always thought about how could I make this better, easier, create ways that it would be the process or the product design was optimized. And then as I started to go into work, P&G, I recognized that I'm a lifetime learner. So went on to get my MBA. And a lot of that was really to be able to kind of communicate the science in a way that could be more palatable for common folks, for folks who don't, nerd out on the things that a lot of us as scientists really get excited about. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit just about what it is I do. So really, I use science and engineering to create a better world. And in doing that, it's solving some really hard, real life problems. And hopefully solving those problems help to change lives and change the world. My first assignment out of graduate school was to design an implant, a shoulder implant. So I'm going to take you guys a little bit on a journey of products that I've touched. And that product was really directly connected to my PhD, where I was incorporating drug delivery capability into a shoulder implant, such as to reduce inflammation and possible infection. Prior to that at 3M, one of the major things that I worked on in my time there was EKG plates. And that kind of switched my brain from chemical engineering to biomedical engineering. And again, some of the elements of sustainability, being good for you, being good for the world, are embedded in doing that work, making sure it's biocompatible, but making sure it's, free of things that could be harmful. And then as I came into P&G, thinking that I would go to their pharmaceutical division, I was actually brought into their paper division. So the first thing I worked on was paper. Again, kind of an intense process. And a lot of what I did in my product design was not only designing the product so that it would be good and better for skin, but also how would that impact the process? How do you make sure kind of the life of the product from raw material to finished product is really, really optimized, such as not to create extra layers of complexity that ultimately impact sustainability. And here are a few of the inventions that came to life out of that work. Today, I work on kind of the baby care and feminine hygiene products, and specifically looking at which, you know, top of mind, you think of diapers and pads, you don't think about skin immediately, but skin is definitely something you have to keep in mind. All of these products come into direct contact with skin. And in that, even the toilet paper that we use on a daily, multiple time usage a day basis, come into contact with skin. And anytime something's contacting skin, we have to be very transparent about what the ingredients are. Consumers really want to know what things are made of, and not just, you know, telling them, hey, here's what the benefit. They want to know why and how. And so that transparency of ingredients really connects to green chemistry and naturality, and making sure that the ingredients that we choose have sustainable product supply chains, as well as, you know, they are the right ingredients that are good for and promote skin health. Again, excited to be here, and I'll stop talking now because I'll spin into talking about the science, and I really want you guys to get a chance to ask some questions.
Thank you all so much for sharing just a little bit about what you do, who you are. So I have a little lighter question. What is the most fun or enjoyable aspect of inventing or innovating when it comes? I'm gonna start with you, Rhonda. Is that okay?
Sure. So for me, the most fun is actually every part, because I work with such a large team from each stage, from, like I said, packaging design, dealing with ingredient suppliers and manufacturers. The concept of each product and doing the research, for some people, they may not like the research part, but I love it. There's a lot of trial and error that goes into it. It can be a little frustrating at times, even if you have a chemistry degree. Sometimes the products don't turn out how you want them to be. But it's really fun because while I may go in and have in mind, okay, I'm going to create a conditioner, I may have created 2 or 3 other products in that whole process. And so you just have to be present and think outside the box. And also, lastly, when you see that product, the finalized product, and you see all that it took to create it, and you have the final product, and you get the feedback from the consumers, and if it's positive, you know, that's great. And also any type of negative feedback, going back and making those changes. But for me, the entire process is really, really fun.
Thank you. LaTisha?
Yeah, so I would agree, like starting from idea conception and actually getting something into market, like that whole process can be, you know, exhilarating, anxiety building, as well as very rewarding. So I love the parts of, you know, coming up with an idea, listening to consumers, working hand in hand with the multifunctional team, because you absolutely can't do it all yourself. And, you know, I remember my first invention my first idea that became an invention, and everyone telling me it was impossible, it couldn't be done, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. And going on that initial journey, similar to when you defend your dissertation or your master's degree, and you're like rallying the troops around, this is what we are all kind of focused against. This is our shared goal. This is what we need to accomplish. And kind of flipping the scene from, we don't believe it can happen, up, how can we make this happen? And that was kind of like my first time seeing how powerful, you know, just believing in your own idea, believing in your own capability could be. And within 18 months, we took something that like was an idea in my head, created prototypes, put prototypes in front of consumers, and in 18 months, it was on the shelf. So again, I love all aspects of it, and especially the opportunities for me to learn and potentially for me to help and teach someone else.
That's good. LaTonya, from
Yes,
an entrepreneur aspect. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. I love the creative process, especially seeing my product come to life. I remember just starting on a blank sheet of paper, just writing out ideas for my name, my brand, and then just to seeing that come to like fruition is like, wow, this is amazing. Amazing. I can't believe, I'm doing this. And I absolutely love hearing back from the consumers and them saying, hey, I'm actually using the affirmations daily, because it reminds me that I'm actually not only just selling a product, but I'm walking in my purpose as well. So that's the most meaningful part of it all, is that in some way, shape, or form, my product is continuing to change lives as I envisioned it to. So, and I also love the digital marketing part of it as well. I built my website from scratch and built my Instagram from scratch. So that's going and working in Canva and literally building everything as far as product pictures, packaging design from scratch. So just seeing all of that come together is like an amazing thing.
Now, one thing about innovation is that, you have to have a team. And so one of the things I do in the classroom, I always, tell my students, I said, we're a team. So that simply means if I'm having a disciplinary issue, you taking away from the team, and so can you all just talk a little bit about how, as a leader, you all move your team towards your ideal, or to motivate them to do what it is you need them to do, even though they haven't seen the ending product? Let's start with you again, Rhonda.
Okay. Well, so I'm sure some people may be familiar with Scrum. So pretty much managing a team of possibly 10 people in different aspects, different areas, pretty much just how can I say this? Keeping everything positive, making sure that everyone understands the scope of the project, and timelines. Timelines is really major because you have a launch date and you want to make sure you have this product done, not at launch date, but at least a couple months in advance, because anything can happen. You always want to leave that room open there's so many different groups that I'm dealing with, and I'm sure LaTisha can speak on this as well. You have packaging, you have ingredient suppliers, you have testing companies, third-party testing facilities. There's so much, and so just making sure that at first the scope of the project is actually that I'm clear and concise with each group, each individual, that they know their role and their part, and just staying on top of the timelines. You can be assertive without being difficult. I was going to say something else, but you can be assertive without stepping on toes, and making sure that everyone on the team is able to do their part and show what they're capable of.
LaTisha?
Yeah, so I completely agree with Rhonda. For me, I start with kind of getting clear for myself, what is the vision for this? In my case, I have a program that I'm managing, and there could be several projects happening at the same time. So getting clear on what is the objective of the program, and what do we really want to accomplish, and setting a vision for that overarching program. And then within it, getting clear on, okay, there are different pillars. So you can probably start to hear some of the structure that's in my brain come to life as I'm talking. Like, what are the pillars? And those pillars allow like this embedded structure for us to be able to have boundaries. And then once we are clear on what the vision is, what the pillars are, and then the projects start to take form, communication is key. Also understanding what the team brings and knowing that there will be team dynamics. Teams will form, they will norm, they will storm, they will build and form and then adjourn. And in that, understanding what I'm a person who like to focus on folks' strengths, and really understanding their strengths and how to leverage them and each other within the core team and then across to the multifunctional team. Like today, I'll give you a real world example. I was meeting with my clinical partners to discuss a potential clinical that we'd like to accomplish. I know that in that group, it's PhD heavy, and I need to allow a little bit of time for them to think out loud. I also knew that one or two of them were going to want to meet after to make sure that their point came completely across. And so sometimes it means, okay, I didn't plan on this meeting today, but I am going to have this conversation because I want us to be aligned and I want you to feel good about the test that you're going to execute for the project that I'm leading. And then talking through some of those specifics that, again, you know, some PhDs may want to nerd out a little bit more and talk about the endpoints and we want to test in this way or that way. And then, you know, having kind of a critical path schedule that's answering the critical questions that enable us meeting that launch date. Because the launch date is real. It is very real. And I may be upstream, and working upstream in a Scrum lean team still means you have to flow to the work.
LaTonya.
And okay, so I'm going to give just a little bit of advice as well, just from being a small business owner. And, you know, sometimes you don't have a team. Sometimes it's just you and your thoughts, and you got to figure out what you're going to do from there. But I will say, the biggest thing that has helped me was building relationships and just going back to your why. Why do you do this? And having those solid relationships, people start to support you. So that has been so helpful in building my brand, is that, you know, people, when they heard about this invention or they heard about me launching my new business, they were like, hey, how can we help you? How can we be a model for your products? And I just realized that, you know, I may not have employees, but there are people who I've built relationships with that are willing to come on board and help me bring my vision to life. So that has been something that I would definitely recommend, is to go back to your why and build relationships within your community, and you'll see how that all comes together.
Thanks for that. Now, you know, when some of our young people are listening on tonight, and maybe their teachers are listening, but I want to talk about how important mentorship is to you. You being mentored, you know, coming through the ranks, as well as you being a mentor. How important has that been in your process of getting to where you are and where you want to go? I want to start with you, LaTonya.
Okay, so mentorship, starting with me, I would say it is very important because, again, if you're a first generational entrepreneur, and it can be a little overwhelming because it's like information overload. You're trying to figure out, okay, how do I start this brand? Where do I get all this information from? Where do I go from here? How do I get my LLC? Things of that nature. So just having people in my corner who are educated, who have been through it, who are trailblazers, that can give me the necessary education that I need for my business to be sustainable, and of course, basically just educate me as a whole. And as far as mentorship with other people, I think it's important to always reach back and grab people by the hand and do the exact same thing that the person did for you when building your brand. I know sometimes it can get to a point where, you know, we get to a certain level and we forget about those who are starting where we started. So if I could be that person to stand in the gap and say, hey, this is what I did to be successful. How can I help you? You know, how can I assist you with the process? So eventually, once my brain gets there, I would love to be that person. But I am very thankful for the people who have been there for me and mentored me through the process as well.
Wait a minute, before everybody else answers, I just want to follow up, LaTonya, because, you know, being an entrepreneur, you talked about in 2020, you start this venture. I want to know exactly what made you make the decision, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna move forward with this and take the risk, because a lot of things that we do in invention or whatever, it's a risk. A risk to our name. You know, we already talked about it. That's not gonna work. You know, and so you have to, you know, stick to your guns and say, hey, I believe in this. And so I want to start with you, LaTonya, just expounding upon that aspect of starting your own business as a single mother, and saying, I can do this. Could you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I think it just went back to, again, the affirmations and just telling that voice in my head that, you know, I can do this. I'm capable. I am not scared. I am bold. So it definitely took some self-development on my end before I was had the courage to basically step out on faith. But I prayed a lot about it, and I was like, you know, God, show me, you know, what I need to do from here. I am, you know, I have this desire on my heart, and for a year it was like, I want to start this business. I want to start this business. And it was like the same song and dance over and over. And I'm like, okay, at some point you got to take that leap of faith that this is something that you're passionate about. And so I prayed for a vision, and it came to life, and it felt like everything just kind of like fit the mold. So I was like, you know what? I think this is the time. I'm in a pandemic right now. We're in the house, and I have saved money. So what better time to focus on starting something new? So that's what I did.
Thank you. Dr. LaTisha?
All right, so I'll start with mentorship first. I think mentorship is key. And frankly, that was one of the driving forces of why I founded Practical Science. That desire to not only benefit from mentorship, but be also a beacon of mentorship, and to help guide folks through and to successfully matriculate through this science career, because it's not, while the work can be easy and exhilarating, the career pieces are sometimes dicey. So I have, you know, strong passion for mentorship, which started all the way back when I was probably in high school. And the way I thought about it as a high school student, and this is to take all the fancy terms away from it, was who can help me reach my next goal? And if it was, okay, I need to get into college, and I'm also first generation college. So who's going to help me? I'm filling out application. Who can help me make sure that my application looks the way it needs to look for me to get accepted into this engineering program? And, you know, I started, frankly, with some of my teachers and counselors, and looked at them as mentors. And then as I went to college, I thought about when I was a little girl, and, you know, I was using petroleum jelly and Kool-Aid to make lip gloss. You know, these little girls, who's going to teach them about science? So when I was in college, I went to the local elementary schools. You know, instead of it being like this big fancy thing, it's literally, you know, making sure that the things that you've had done for you, the things you would want done for you, finding someone to do those things for. And even within P&G, I sit on the recruitment team, and I have created internship development programs, new hire development programs for that very reason. And specific to practical science. I think sometimes when we talk about the sciences, and especially once we really learn the nomenclature, it becomes a little bit intangible for someone who hasn't gone through that training. And with practical science, we do really just, fun activities. We make gummy bears, and I take them through why, gelatin is a structurant. You don't know what that means, but it's holding everything together.
Right.
And I take them through kind of the product development process in making those gummy bears. And so I think it's vital. Mentorship is vital, whether you're in science or in business, finding someone who can help you, and to make it very simple, help you to make the best, right next decision to meet your goal. And be that person for someone.
Thank you. Rhonda?
So for me, I oftentimes run into college graduates who have issues breaking into the cosmetics industry. And it's not an easy field or to break into. A lot of people think that it is. And so I've been working one-on-one with a few chemistry graduates who are interested in cosmetic science. And one of the really getting them access to gaining experience. And it's talked about a lot where you apply to these companies and they say, oh, you don't have enough experience. And a lot of these, especially young girls that I have worked with, it's disheartening for them. And I was in that place when I was in graduate school. And nothing against the university that I went to. They didn't really make it, they didn't really help us get internships. So I had to hit the pavement when I lived in New York. I reached out to every company in the tri-state area just to get an unpaid internship. And I would commute from Brooklyn, New York to Woodstock, Connecticut, which is a 5.5-hour trip one way, just for my unpaid internship. So as LaTisha said, we've been there and we know what it took to get us to where we are now, and to also to remember that and to be able to help someone else. And so if I can help these young girls break into the cosmetics industry, even if it's for an internship, even if it's for a contract position at a private label company, I'm going to help them do that so that they can jumpstart their career.
Thank you. Michelle, can you come in? Are there any questions there that
yeah, there are just a couple of that folks have posted. And so one is to really kind of turn the question back. And so you all have talked so eloquently about how you have supported others. How can science, entrepreneurship, the markets change to support you, your ideas and businesses, right? So what would it take for you to thrive that you don't feel like is there now, but that might be able to be there? And jump in, I'll start.
Go ahead, LaTonya.
I was just going to say, I believe more knowledge. Sometimes entrepreneurship, all of the information that you need isn't necessarily out there. So if you're not networking, then in some cases you don't really know what to do. So I think, and of course, you have to take the initiative as well to educate yourself. If that's reading books, doing your research, which is what I did. But I think other entrepreneurs could be a little more helpful in a sense, as far as like sharing their journey and what they did to get to where they are.
So I can speak a little to kind of being a technologist. I would say the things that could be different or I hope to make different. So it's a both and. Part of it is there are a lot of rooms that I go into and I am the only woman. I am the only Black person, brown person, minority, period. And again, that's one of the impetus for starting Practical Science. I do want to see more of us in those rooms. And when we're in those rooms, not being afraid to voice not just opinion, but, you know, leading the vision, strategy, approach to how, not, you know, how we do the work, how we approach the people, and making sure that we have the right kind of diversity demographics as we do our research. It's easy enough to say, hey, I'm in the room, I'm at the table. And sometimes, you know, that your chair is being pulled away from the table as you're trying to knock on the table. You know, having the openness to hear the different points of view. So part of it is being willing to share and having the courage to share the point of view. The other part is, you know, when you're the only in the room, having the folks in the room actually hear you, actually hear your experiences, hear your intuitions, hear your visions, and you know, and see that you have the vision, strategy, approach, and the knowledge. A lot of times you see all my degrees, I love to learn. We have, you know, perspectives, not just within one sphere of mastery. We have several spheres of mastery. So first, having, you know, the safe space to be able to be open, and sometimes just doing the Hail Mary and saying, I'm going to be open and have the courage to do it, whether or not folks are accepting. Eventually they have to hear.
Rhonda, any last thoughts about that question?
So to piggyback off of LaTisha and LaTonya, because with Alquemie Group, we're not only creating our own products, our in-house products, but we also deal with our client portfolios. And so one way that I think that could be helpful, especially for our clients that may be small business owners or indie brands, they usually, as LaTonya said, they have an idea in mind of what product they want to create, but they may not know really how to get that idea to the final product. And so we're able to step in. Another issue that I have seen, especially from some small business owners, is capital. When it comes to developing their products, their brands, building their company. Unfortunately, Black and brown people do not receive the capital that they need for their small businesses compared to Caucasian counterparts. So that I have seen firsthand, and there can be so much improvement for that, especially for Black and brown businesses. From LaTisha's standpoint, I have been in the room when I worked at these other brands as a cosmetic chemist. I'm the only woman, or I'm the only Black woman. And that is really important, because when you're creating these products, inclusivity. You want to create inclusive products that can be for all consumers. And if you don't have anyone in that room, not just a Black person, but also Hispanic, Asian, you're pigeonholing yourself as a company. And so a lot of brands really need to step out. I would love to see more Black and brown cosmetic chemists. And like I said before, and I really love what LaTisha is doing with her nonprofit, getting more students actively interested in science, technology, engineering, art, and math, and seeing what the possibilities as far as a career. And so that not only for small business owners such as LaTonya, but also at corporations as well, we will be at the table and our voices will be heard.
Thank you all. I just got one other question a person asked in reference to how difficult is it to advocate for more sustainable and green products, even if the initial cost benefit may not be clear for company benefit. So can you just because we're about to end here. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Okay, I can start. Okay.
Yep.
I'll keep it brief. The issue is the cosmetics industry, as far as ingredients, has done a complete 180. I can reassure you that as far as ingredients, the ingredients that were used 10 years ago, the ingredients now have surpassed these ingredients. In the past, they're safer. Majority of the ingredients that we use in the cosmetics industry are generally recognized as safe. Consumers are asking more questions. They're knowledgeable, and gone are the days where companies just say, "Hey, buy this." You really, as a company and a brand, you really have to inform and give as much information to the consumer. Now, I will say this, as far as sustainability, we've been on a natural, green, plant-based wave. Unfortunately, with consumer demand, Earth cannot keep up. So I love what is this wave, that shift is happening right now, where consumers understand that just because an ingredient is created or bioengineered or created in a lab, that's not a bad thing. And so that's a part of the sustainability process, where we're no longer, Earth is able to replenish itself. A lot of areas, remote areas where some of these ingredients are found, crops, is able to replenish itself. You also have sustainability efforts as far as items being ethically sourced, fair trade. So you want to make sure that across the board, companies are doing what they need to do, not only for the environment, but also for the people. And I will end this. I do think that the cosmetics industry has some room for improvement when it comes to packaging design. A lot of the packaging, not every product is going to be able to be put in a glass bottle. So plastic, making sure that these packaging components can be recycled. I've seen some packaging that is sourced from sugarcane. So we're on the right track, but there's still a little wiggle room left for growth.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm passionate.
It's okay. Thank you so much. We're going overtime on tonight, but that's okay. I just wanted to say, you all were great. Thank you so much for being a part. I'm gonna, at this point, turn it over to Kate, so Kate can take us out. I just want to mention that NOBCChE is having their Southeast Regional meeting this week. So please go to our website and sign up. There will be some sessions that'll be virtual. So please be a part, take part in those sessions. Kate, you got it.
Thanks so much. That was phenomenal. And yeah, to end with sparks of passion of why it's so critical and important for, everyone to be in the room, for one, and how that really feeds into the way the future and where industry is today, right? The fact that industry really is moving in this positive way, I think brings all of us a lot of excitement and light, for sure. So huge thank you to our amazing panelists. I'd like everybody to big round of applause. I see lots of big love being sent in the chat, so please do that. I think hearing the different stages of where you all are too. LaTonya, I mean, my gosh, you are still so young. Wow. All right. My God, you're in your, stop it. Okay. The future is so bright. And then to also just, to really understand and see that there are just such a breadth of opportunities. And Rhonda and LaTisha, wow. I mean, the phenomenal work that you've done to sort of push, and Practical Science Academy. I hope everybody goes to the Facebook page and gives it a big like. I mean, do that for Society Beyond Benign and NOBCCchE too. But please go to Practical Science Academy, because I think that the everlasting message, for everybody to sort of take away is that we need more people in the room making the decisions all the way through, be a part of the beginning, be a part of the end, because that's what's going to make this move us in the direction that we need to be going. So thank you so much. I do hope that everyone who's tuned in tonight will join us from May 10th for our final speaker series event. And with that, we're going to tune off. Thank you so much, Dr. Radhika Moore, for bringing us home with being the moderator, and for the entire team. So please have a fantastic night. And yeah, anybody who wants to stay on and have additional questions, please feel free. But if not, sign off, and we appreciate you very much. So thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.